Did you ever talk with Mr. Abramoff about a potential strategy to block the Gun Lake application?
Senator, I didn't know what Gun Lake was until the Washington Post ran an article. I didn't even know what the term was. I'd never been involved in Gun Lake. Once I saw the article, when it ran in the paper, I realized that at a senior policy meeting with the Secretary, the Solicitor's Office informed the Secretary that the Justice Department had indicated they were not going to process or defend, as I understood it, applications for lands into trust for gaming unless there had been an EIS performed. It wasn't until those two things were connected that I understood that I'd overheard the conversation. But until that point, I had no knowledge of it.
November 2003, you gave Michael Rossetti, the former counselor to the Secretary of Department of Interior, a binder that contained information critical of the Louisiana Genaband's application for placing land in a trust. Did that indeed happen? Did you give him a binder?
Yes, Senator.
You did. Did you tell Mr. Rossetti, did Mr. Griles tell you where the binder came from?
Yes, sir.
And where was that?
The conversation took some time to get to the ultimate point of where the binder came from. At first, Mr. Griles indicated that he got it from someone on the Hill, a staff member to a member of either the Senate or the House. I have to say I don't recall which. I have two names that I recall and haven't been able to refresh my recollection adequately. But that, and this took the course of a series of questions that I had to ask to figure out where it came from, because it didn't have a transmittal letter on it, an email cover, or any other readily identifiable information as to what its genesis was or what its meaning was intended to be. But on the cover memo was I think it was addressed to the Department of, it was addressed to somebody, but wasn't from anybody. So when our extensive conversation about where it came from, ultimately, I learned from Mr. Griles that it came from a member by way of a chief of staff by way of a lobbyist who turned out to be Mr. Abramoff. But it was during the course of a series of questions that took much longer to get to that answer than I would have thought was necessary.
Mr. Griles, binders show up in your office and then you just pass them on to the most important people in the Department of Interior?
Senator, if I could put this in context, and first of all, I'd like to respond to Mr. Rossetti's recollection of a conversation that he says a series of questions and answers. My recollection of it, it was less than 2 minutes, and if it was that long. So I don't want to dispute a former friend of mine and a former colleague. I have a great deal of respect for him. He did a great job when he served as Secretary. So I guess I would just like to explain what actually happened. I was in a meeting. I came back to my office. There was a binder. There was no transmission on it. There was no envelope. There was nothing. I opened it up, and there were letters from congressmen, and it may have been senators. I just don't recall the content of it. It was clearly something related to the Genaband application. I went in Interior. When we came, we had huge litigation going on in the Cobell litigation, Senator, as you well know. And one of the allegations there was records and maintaining of records and what we needed to do with records if we got something and how we should manage them. This binder was in the minds of the Solicitor's Office and everyone was a record of the Department of Interior once it landed on my desk. My objective was threefold. Get it to the right person, avoid a record-keeping issue with the litigation issue, and I asked, and since Mr. Rossetti, as I so said before, was in fact the counselor that was managing the Indian gaming issues, I took it to Mr. Rossetti. There was speculation. There was no question. There was speculation about where it came from. I did not say it came from Mr. Abramoff. I did not say it came from Congress. I speculated that it could have come from any of those sources. I did not know, and I do not know today where it came from. But it was a record, Senator, that was laying on my desk. I asked my secretary, where did this come from? Her name is Doris Johnson. She is one of the nicest, sweetest ladies in the world. She said, it was delivered to the front desk, and I went down and picked it up. And I assumed she went down and picked it up from a messenger. She brought it back, and I said, where's the envelope? She said it had your name on it and nothing else. I then, as I repeat myself, I went, I consulted, I was told that it had to be given to the people who were managing this because it was a record of the department, and I gave it to Mr. Rossetti, and there was speculation about where it came. I asked Mr. Rossetti, when he was giving the briefing to the secretary on this issue, which I did not attend, and I wouldn't have asked him this if I was going to attend the briefing and interfere in this issue, to please make sure the secretary knew that there were all sides of this issue, and please brief him on that. I think I put him off when I said that, to be honest. I think I questioned, in doing that, I think he thought I questioned his integrity about fully informing the secretary. And if I did that, I apologize to him today. But, Senator, I did not know, and I don't know today where it came from.
Mr. Rossetti testifies that on 2 occasions you insisted on being in the meetings concerning the Jinnah ban. Is that not true?
Senator, I have no recollection of attending any meetings in which the Jinnah ban issue was discussed. There were thousands and thousands of meetings in the Department of Interior. My schedule has them all on it. I have looked through every meeting, every calendar that I have since I got those calendars several days ago. I spent nights reading them. I see nothing on there that would indicate that I went to a Jinnah ban briefing.
I think Mr. Rossetti's testimony is that you didn't go, but you insisted on going and were not ready to do so.
Can I comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Senator, as the Deputy Secretary and Chief Operating Officer, if I wanted to go to a meeting, I would have gone. I mean, was the number 2. It didn't happen. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be involved in Indian gaming. And that is a truth. I'm telling you the truth. I want you to know that from my heart. This is not something that I was interested in, and I didn't go. I have no recollection, absolutely no recollection of going to any meeting when any of that issue was discussed.